Good day, everyone. I'm Mr. Rodel Suyat, a clinical instructor from Union Christian College, and I'm privileged and an honor to present to you and share to you my research entitled Traversing the Reach Experiences of Nurses Under Licensure Examination. Of the many professions in the global community, the nursing profession is among the professional areas that require licensure examination to screen nursing graduates to practice their profession and enjoy the rights and privileges accorded to them by their professions. It is driven by legal requirement that practice of nursing profession in the Philippines requires the passing of the nurses licensure examination as mandated in Section 12, Article 4 of Philippine Nursing Act of 2002 or Republic Act 9173. The researcher believes that nurses who pass the nursing licensure examination have set clear goals as initial steps to envision success. This is engulfed with the optimism and willpower to concentrate on accomplishing what they want to attain because success is imminent once an individual has committed to claiming it. In addition, nurses who are self-assured and confident have great academic performance, lead to successful completion, and pass the board examination. Besides, after passing, nurses are now glad to seek job and help their families finally. Furthermore, they can now start working for their dreams and aspirations in life. For the methods of research design, I use the Husserlian phenomenology or the qualitative phenomenological approach. The participants of the study involved 16 nurses who were selected using the criterion sampling. The selection criteria considered were: 1. Should be a registered nurse and a graduate of Union Christian College for the past 2 years. Secondly, male or female. Third, NLE first takers or repeaters. And lastly, of any age. The researcher considered the first criterion because of his connection with Union Christian College as a clinical instructor. For my data gathering tools and procedures, the researcher is the main data collection instrument in this study. Also, field notes, observations, and an unstructured interview guide will also be utilized. Interviews were conducted through Zoom meetings. The WHO informed consent were given to the participants before the conduct of interviews. A letter was forwarded to the Dean of School of Health Sciences of Union Christian College for the approval of the conduct of the study. The researchers sought for the approval of the UCC Ethics Review Board. For my data management, the data analysis was done simultaneously with data gathering. The dates of every interview were adequately documented to discern the initial interactions from the succeeding ones. The verification of data gathered and meanings identified was done by going back to each participant and confirm that data from them. To have an accurate interpretation of data, these were arranged into concepts of themes until the researcher and the participants agreed to classify the data accurately. In particular, the researcher described the lived experiences of the participants in the study by using the George's method of interpretation. To establish trustworthiness, the researcher observed credibility, dependability, confidentiality, and transferability in establishing the trustworthiness of data. For the transcript digest and levels of analysis, the George's method of interpretation was used to analyze the data that were gathered for this study. For some ethical considerations, the researchers strictly observed the principles of autonomy, beneficence, and justice in conducting this study. For the results and discussion, the participants forwarded that taking the board exam can be compared in traversing a ridge. They have mentioned that there is no shortcut to experience, and the more time they have spent on preparing for the ridge traverse beforehand, the greater their chance of success. Likewise, Prior knowledge of these sections play in their favor and helps them reach their peak. In taking the board examination, they need a lot of preparation to book that slim chance of becoming a registered nurse. After all, reaching the summit of the ridge successfully lies in overcoming the hazards along the road successfully. First is the terrain. Knowing the terrain before the travel assures the hikers of the dangers as well as the physical, emotional, and psychological efforts needed during the travel. In like manner, the way to taking the licensure examination requires the examinees need to know the areas of testing, what academic, personal, economic, and social supports are needed to prepare them properly. The participants felt pressured, ambivalence, and stress before taking the board exam, but some people kept them motivated. Their dreams for their family gave them the motivation to carry on. Despite these struggles, they prayed unceasingly and come out with different strategies to continue their journey. Just like before traversing the ridge, there may be brows like miles of trudging through snow, intricate road finding, and short hours of daylight the climbers need to chase to reach the peak. Second is the narrow ridge. As one treks the ridge to reach the peak, the trekker meets more challenges because of the swampy area, slippery trail, thick forest, hot and cold breeze that may cause discomfort. There were moments that they lose hope. Nonetheless, they tried their very best to finish the board exam, just to get a chance in that very slim opportunity to become a registered nurse. The participants narrated that their experience during the board exams were not easy. They had anxieties, felt pressured, and there were moments of losing hope. But their faith in God, support from family and friends, and applying their beliefs enabled them to finish the race. Just like passing in a narrow ridge, the hiker needs to overcome every scramble along the way to finally reach the peak. And thirdly, the peak. Words cannot describe the sense of freedom the climbers get when they are ascending and finally reach the peak. They describe it as truly spiritual experience, leaving you feeling alive. This can be compared to the feelings of the participants when they were able to pass the nursing licensure exam. In reaching the peak of the ridge, climbers felt that they have survived the avalanche and made them appreciate life more and realize how everything can change in an instant. They may be flooded with feelings of joy, relief, and inspiration, but also dehydration, oxygen deprivation, and concerns about the descent. The most dangerous part of the entire expedition made them worry. Therefore, as a climber that have reached the peak of the ridge, the registered nurse must always be willing to take the risk of whatever comes along the way. For the conclusions and recommendations of my study, the themes that emerged from this study were the terrain, the narrow ridge, and the peak. The participants forwarded that taking the board exam can be compared in traversing a ridge. They have mentioned that there is no shortcut to experience, and the more time they have spent on preparing for the ridge traverse beforehand, the greater the chance of success. Likewise, prior knowledge of key sections play in their favor and helps them reach their peak. It is therefore recommended that nurse educators and curriculum planners should make a positive contribution towards minimizing stress of student nurses who will take the NLE. Furthermore, it is recommended that the student nurses family, the school, and the church work together as a support system to strengthen the mental, psychological, physical, and spiritual life of the students, to help them develop and nurture their self-confidence in order to overcome stress, anxiety, especially in taking NLA. Likewise, the results of this study can be used by the School of Nursing to improve its nursing program. develop and implement measures to improve the NLE passing performance of its graduates. That's all about my study. Thank you and have a good day.